Are you looking for a dish that's bold, delicious and easy to make? Do you love deep, rich flavors with a fiery kick? Then Penne Arrabbiata is just what you need. This Italian classic is one of my all-time favorites, dare I say, a signature dish. It's simple to make, needs only a handful of ingredients, and when done right, it's pure perfection. If I had to choose just one dish to cook for the rest of my life, this would probably be it. Hello and welcome back, my friends and fellow Apollonians. I'm your host, Apollo Jupiter, and today we're making a Roman classic, Penne Arrabbiata. Arrabbiata means angry in Italian, thanks to its fiery chili heat. But I'd rather call it Penne Felicita because this dish will make you happy. A staple of Roman cuisine, Arrabbiata is all about simplicity and high-quality ingredients. Traditionally, it consists of high-quality olive oil, chili peppers, tomatoes, garlic, parsley. Now for the purists out there, yes, that's the traditional base. But as with most Italian dishes, small regional and personal variations exist. So today I'm sharing my take, adding Guanciale or bacon for an extra savory depth, a splash of white wine to balance and enhance the flavors, and Pecorino cheese, a Roman staple that gives it a wonderfully rich and nutty touch. If you want exact measurements, no worries, we'll go over them in a moment. But remember, cooking is intuition and love. Just listen to your heart. Unless it tells you to add 10 chilies, then maybe listen to your stomach instead. You don't have to be super precise with the amounts. They are an approximate guideline to make it easier to follow the recipe at home. The recipes are meant for 2 to 3 people, depending on their appetite. I rarely cook just for myself, it's always for me and my lovely wife, because already delicious food tastes even better when you share it with someone you love. Plus, it keeps me from eating the whole pot by myself, which, believe me, I've been tempted to do. So let's get started. What you'll need: 1/4 cup or 70 milliliters of extra virgin olive oil, 5.5 ounces or 150 grams of bacon or guanciale cut in small cubes with the skin removed if necessary, a knob of butter, roughly 1 tablespoon, 2 to 3 chilies to your liking, depending how spicy they are and how fiery you want the dish, finely chopped, 2 solo or 4 normal garlic cloves, finely minced, 3.4 fluid ounces or 100 milliliters of dry white wine, 28 ounces or 800 grams of high-quality canned tomatoes, whole or chopped, both works, salt and freshly ground pepper to taste, 2 pinches of brown sugar, 11 to 12 ounces or 320 to 350 grams of Penne Rigate, 2 tablespoons fresh or frozen parsley, finely chopped, and 2 tablespoons or 15 grams of Pecorino, finely grated. Let's go! First, let's start by heating the olive oil in a pan at medium-high heat. As a guideline, for me that's on a stage 6 out of 9. I like to use a larger braising pan because it leaves enough room for the sauce to develop and also for the pasta later on. I find it easier to handle than cooking in a pot. Add the bacon or guanciale to the pan and let it cook until it starts to get crispy for about 3 to 4 minutes. Take care that it doesn't get too dark. Once the bacon is done, pull the pan away from the heat for a few seconds for it to cool down and reduce the heat to medium-low, which is on the stage 3 out of 9 on my stove. Pull the pan back on the heat and add our knob of butter, and the chilies. If it's still too hot, just pull it aside again for a moment, about a minute, to avoid the chili frying or burning. The chili should actually only sweat for about 2 to 3 minutes. Reduce the heat some more and add the garlic. It's always important to add garlic on a relatively low heat because it can turn bitter easily if you fry it too hot or too long. So again, just let it sweat a little bit, approximately a minute. Sprinkle some salt in there while stirring continuously. After about a minute, remember, the garlic should only sweat but not brown. Increase the heat and add the white wine. Now let it cook off for about a minute. Once the liquid is reduced, add the canned tomatoes and crush them gently with a potato masher or cooking spoon if using whole tomatoes. It's also a good way to release any pent-up frustration from your day. Just don't get too aggressive, remember, they didn't do anything to you. If you want, you can also crush them in a separate bowl, but in my opinion, that's not necessary. Add a generous amount of salt and freshly ground pepper, each. Add the 2 pinches of brown sugar and let the sauce simmer on a medium heat, which is on a 5 out of 9 on my stove, for about 15 minutes until it starts to thicken. If you have access to really ripe tomatoes, you can reduce the sugar, but adding it is a good way to bring the natural sweetness back to the tomatoes that did not have the chance to soak up enough sun. In the meantime, bring the pasta water to a boil. Once the water is boiling, add the parsley to the sauce, stir well and let it simmer a little longer. Now add a generous amount of salt before adding the pasta. Cook the pasta about 2 minutes less than instructed on the package. That's usually a good guideline to achieve a nice al dente touch. You don't want the pasta to get all soggy and cooked through. You have to experiment a little bit on what your personal sweet spot is, but I found that usually 2 minutes less works really well. While the pasta cooks, stir the sauce occasionally. About 2 minutes before the pasta is done, add the pecorino to the sauce and stir well. Once the pasta is done, pull it from the heat and increase the heat of the sauce again to a medium high. Transfer the pasta to the sauce with a slotted spoon. You don't need to drain it, as the pasta water will make your sauce creamier. If your sauce reduced too much, you can add 1 to 2 tablespoons of pasta water to give it back its creaminess. Mix well for about a minute and pull it from the heat. Serve the pasta with some freshly grated pecorino on top. Always try to keep out an eye on the presentation of your food a little. Don't just throw it in there. Remember, the eye always eats first. If you accidentally drip sauce on the edge of your plate, just use a kitchen towel and wipe it off. Easy fix, and it looks so much more presentable. Also, don't overpack your plate, because especially with pasta, it will become harder to eat without messing around it. You might eat more than your stomach can actually take. If you love the food, you can always go for a second helping. I just love it. So good. And there you have it, my friends, my version of Penne Arrabbiata, as I like to call it, Penne Felicita. A dish so full of flavor it's like a little Italian vacation right at your table. Whether you're making this for a cozy dinner or to impress some guests, I'll promise it'll bring smiles and maybe a little heat to everyone's face. So give it a try and let me know in the comments how yours turned out. I'd love to hear your feedback or any spicy variations you might add. And of course, if you enjoyed cooking along with me today, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more mouth-watering recipes, and click the bell so you never miss any new content. Thank you so much for joining me here at the Paul's Diner, and I'll see you in the next video.